Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. Several people sent me the story about the couple that had the money put in their bank account by mistake and went out and spent the money and got in trouble for it. So this story is exactly what you think it is. But many people pointed this out to me because I did a story a while back about a client of mine who had some money put in her bank account and it ended differently than this one. But headline, this is from Fox San Antonio, but it's been widely reported. Bank transfers $120,000 to wrong account. Couple charged for spending it. By Laura Taylor. Out of Scranton, PA, a couple is facing charges after allegedly spending money that was deposited into their account accidentally. According to WNE, a couple in Pennsylvania is facing theft charges and over $100,000 in overdraft fees. See, that's how they get you. After allegedly using money that was accidentally deposited into their bank account. State police say Robert and Tiffany Williams had the money deposited into their account at BB&T on May 31st through a mistake by a teller. You'll recall that Monopoly, when there's a bank error in your favor, it's a happy card. In real life, not so much. Instead of contacting the bank about the money, they allegedly withdrew the money or spent most of it in 2.5 weeks between June 3rd and June 19th. Their neighbors were stunned. This is kind of shocking with all the procedures the banks have set up, checking and double checking and triple checking. There's no way anybody gets away with that stuff, said Nate Weaver, neighbor. State police say the Williams bought an SUV, 2 four-wheelers, a camper, a car trailer, and they also used the money to bills that they paid, car repairs, cash purchases, and even gave $15,000 to friends who were in need. Hey, charity. I would check in with the bank first before I did anything. I'm not that dumb, but some people do stupid things sometimes, said Robert Payton, another neighbor. Once the bank realized its mistake, it transferred the $120,000 into the correct account, and the bank then contacted Tiffany Williams on June 20th and told her the couple had to pay back the $107,000 in overdraft fees they incurred. The couple bought the SUV, car trailer, 2 four-wheelers, a camper, and a couple gave the money to friends. But again, they're spending money they don't have. And so the bank's basically going to say, look, you just basically spent money you don't have. These are overdrafts. And by the way, there's going to be all these overdraft fees. So it all adds up. On June 21st, the bank called again, going to bring her money back. Tiffany said she and her husband would work on a payment plan. Court papers show after the initial phone calls from the bank, the couple had no contact with bank reps, despite several attempts by the bank to contact them. The couple is now facing felony theft charges. Robert and Tiffany Williams were released on a $25,000 bail. Question is, did they put the money up in cash? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So here's the thing. Generally speaking, you've got a bank account and you put money in and you can check how much you got and you can take your money out. Of course, there's, unbelievable fees that come along with that and overdraft fees if you overdraft the account. But if they make a mistake and put money in the account, it's not yours, you can't take it. Now, I've told stories before about people who've had money put in their bank account and honestly thought the money could be theirs. And you might say, Steve, how would that happen? So an example I'd give you is suppose 2 people had a joint bank account and someone said, I'm going to put money in the account. Then money appears in the account. The other person goes, oh, money's there, and they take it out. Bank comes along and goes, oops, that was a mistake. And you go, wait, I thought that money was deposited by, So there's possible ways it could happen. Now, I can tell you that the Uniform Commercial Code, I believe it's Article 4, oversees banking transactions. And most states have adopted Article 4 verbatim, but some have made minor changes to it. And in the old days, the courts the laws gave the banks about 30 days to catch a mistake. And that's usually plenty of time because they do all kinds of computer checks and reconciliations and accounting stuff. And so within 30 days, they can often catch an error. The story I often tell is a client of mine, and in that particular case, they didn't catch it in 30 days. So the funny thing is that they've now changed the law, and by now I mean since the story I told happened, to where I think the banks have got now 90 days to catch the mistake. If they catch it within 90 days, they can correct the mistake. And so if you find the money in your account, if they find it within 90 days, the mistake, you're paying that money back. And if you took it and had no good faith belief as to how it could possibly be yours, it might be a crime, which is not good. So the interesting thing about this, And I just literally spent like an hour going through old photographs on a computer looking for a screen grab, and I can't find it. So I apologize, but if I ever find it, I'll update the video or something. But in the last year or so, I logged onto one of my bank accounts online, and I looked, and there was a huge amount of money in there that was not mine. And the funny part is that I went and looked to see where the deposit went in, and there was no deposit showing, meaning that according to them, the money had been in my account for a long time. But I knew what the number should be, and there were at least one more digit and possibly two more digits in front of that didn't belong there. And it was fun to look at. It was fun to look at, but I knew it wasn't my money. And I also knew just as easily as the number had changed up, the number could change down. I've also done a video called Fun with Banks and talked about how banks will routinely make mistakes in their favor. The second they make one in your favor, it's the end of the world. When they make a mistake in their favor, it takes some weeks, maybe 30 days, 90 days to straighten it out. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for banks, but you have to understand with this many transactions and how many they do and how much money they handle, and there are humans involved and computers involved and different branches involved and the internet and whatnot. And meanwhile, there's hackers from other countries trying to break in. That once in a while a mistake might occur, and so here they accidentally put the $120,000 into the wrong account, and the people who spotted that should have said, "Oh, it's obviously not ours. Hey, honey, did you put 120 grand in the account?" No? Okay. Oh, what, you were about to ask me that? Yeah, okay. Gotcha. Okay, well, yeah, okay, then I guess it's not ours. So it's not your money. You can't take it. So like I said, the argument, if there was one, is if you actually had a legitimate explanation as to how the money could have been there. But the odds of that happening are pretty slim. So again, the story's out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the couple is alleged to have spent a huge chunk of the $120,000, they say as much as $100,000 of it maybe, and they did it by buying life's necessities, such as an SUV, four-wheelers, a camper, a car trailer, and then they paid some bills, paid some car repairs, made some cash purchases, and then gave $15,000 to friends who were in need. So that last one to me is just, I don't know, it's the icing on the cake for the story, I guess. So, where'd you get the money? Just showed up in my account. Oh, okay, can I have 15 grand? Sure, there you go, 15 grand. So think about all the other ramifications here, though. Like, let's suppose that the money was in your account and you got to keep it for whatever reason. I'm speaking hypothetically here. So there's 120 grand in your account. You get to keep it. Do you really go over and hand $15,000 to friends in need? I mean, I'm not knocking charity. But you do understand, for instance, that this would be income you have to pay taxes on. And if you spent $100,000 of the 120, I don't think you put enough aside for taxes. And when you gifted the $15,000 to your friend, I mean, I understand that you're allowed to give gifts and so on, but there's all kinds of weird oddities here that I think that most people don't think of. And so when you see someone who's burning through the cash this fast, it's usually an indication that they realize that, hey, something's wrong here. I got to burn this cash fast. Otherwise, I got to give it back. There's no other excuse for this, I don't think. But, and it reminds me of those goofy stories that you hear about the people who hit the lottery. And there's some great documentaries about, the lottery ruined my life. And the shocking number of people who hit the lottery. I'm talking about the big ones. The big ones, it's like literally like $137 million after taxes and after, getting a lump sum, $298 million. And if you follow these people 5 years down the road, it's most likely they'll be bankrupt than anything else. And I forgot what the time frame is, but there's a time frame within which like half of the people who win the lottery go bankrupt. So the funny thing about it is that we all fantasize about being rich, but it's obvious that most people can't handle it. And I'm not saying $120,000 makes somebody rich. I'm just talking about in general. If you are used to living on this budget and somebody suddenly gives you a pile of cash on top of that, the odds are you're going to do some really, really stupid stuff with this money, especially if you're human. So there you go. Bank transfers $120,000 into the wrong account. The couple charged with a crime for spending it. That's how it works. Questions, comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.